Good afternoon. My name is Henry Keane. Yet another attempt to break the hard truth in easy terms for the whole free world directly from Ukraine. European Union leaders signed off on a trio of top appointments for their shared political institutions, reinstalling German conservative Ursula von der Leyen as president of the European Commission for another 5 years. Former Prime Minister of Portugal, Antonio Costa, will be European Council president, and Estonia's incumbent Prime Minister Costa and Kallas will change Josep Borrell as the top diplomat of the EU. Von der Leyen expressed her gratitude for a shot at a second term of office, saying, I quote, "I'm very honored and I'm delighted to share this moment." Kallas, who as the US top diplomat will lead the bloc's foreign and security policy with Russia's war in Ukraine, noted that, I quote again, "There is war in Europe, also growing instability globally. My aim is definitely to work for European unity."
I would plain and simply like to express my gratitude to the leaders who endorsed my nomination for a second mandate as President of the European Commission. And I'm very honored and I'm delighted to share this very special moment, hopefully soon on screen, Antonio Costa, but also my dear friend Costa and Kallas. Antonio Costa as President of the European Council and Costa and Kallas as HRVP, so Vice President of the next Commission. For me, this means that I now will seek confirmation from the European Parliament on my appointment after presenting my political guidelines for the next 5 years, so there's another step to do on the way forward.
My aim is definitely to work for the European unity, protect European interests, values in the charged geopolitical context and build global partnerships as well, which is very, very important at this time. So I will strive to work with the member states as well as all the institutions, and of course the next step is to focus on the hearings in the Parliament and talk with the MEPs to achieve their support. I'm very glad that I get to work together with Ursula von der Leyen and Antonio Costa. So I think we make a great team to achieve these goals for European Union.
Both political ladies, von der Leyen and Kallas, should now be approved by European lawmakers. Costa's nomination only needed the leaders' approval, and he will start in his new role in the fall. You may think that everything is smooth and valid in the European Union, but it is not the case. The political struggle continues, and that's normal. For example, in a post on X, Twitter, Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni said the way that mainstream parties put forward the trio is wrong in method and substance. She decided not to support it out of respect for the citizens and the indications that came from those citizens during the elections. And they are on one more critic of the deal. And guess who is that? Black sheep, of course, the Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban is here. With his, I quote, "European voters were cheated," he said on Facebook Thursday evening. "We do not support this shameful agreement," he said. EU top appointments are supposed to ensure geographic and ideological balance, but ultimately it is the 27 leaders who call the shots, and generally the most powerful among them. While Costa's appointment is decided by EU leaders alone, both von der Leyen and Kallas will also need to be approved by a majority of lawmakers. With 720 members, that makes threshold of 361. That vote could happen when the newly constituted European Parliament meets for the first time in July. The European Council is the body composed of the leaders of the 27 member states. Indeed, if confirmed, Costa's role as president would be to broker deals with an often hopelessly divided political club. In Portugal, he's known as a savvy negotiator, but von der Leyen's role is most powerful. As Commission President, her job is to devise and implement the bloc's shared policy on everything from migration to the economy and environmental rules. With the far right pushing back against the flagship EU policies ushered through in the last 5 years, von der Leyen critics charge she is poised to roll back ambition. And I almost forgot. All three leaders have repeatedly expressed their support for Ukraine, and not only in words, actually, but also in deed. Therefore, the Kremlin's plans to weaken support for our country failed. Well, did anyone expect anything different? The leaders of American elephants and donkeys argued live. That's right, Biden and Trump, I meant. The first presidential debate took place in the United States of America. The current debate is being held at a record early time, even before the politicians participating in it have become candidates for the presidency of the United States from their respective parties. I won't rehash the entire debate, but mostly the U.S. presidential candidates talked about the U.S. However, during the debate between President Joe Biden and former U.S. President Donald Trump, the issue of Russia war in Ukraine arose all of a sudden, and a fight broke out between the two opponents. Trump said that, I quote, "If we had a real president," meaning probably current President Biden, "Putin would never have invaded Ukraine." In addition, Trump said once again promised to end the war in Ukraine even before his election as president, he said. He added that he would do so that, I quote now, "Zelensky and Putin get along." Biden, in his response to Trump, called Putin a war criminal and sharply condemned his opponent for saying that Putin could attack anywhere if NATO allies did not increase their defense budgets. Biden emphasized that Trump wants the United States to withdraw from NATO, but the strength is in alliances. We could not avoid a major war in Europe if it were not for our alliance. Biden also emphasized that Putin's aggression will not stop at aggression against Ukraine, mentioning in particular Poland, Belarus, and NATO countries. At the same time, Trump also criticized Biden for the chaos in the withdrawal of troops from Afghanistan, claiming that this was allegedly the reason for Putin's aggression against Ukraine. Later in the debate, Trump said Biden was leading the U.S. into World War III. He added that due to Biden's bad position, Ukraine will not win the war, he said. They are running out of people. It's said they lost many people because of Biden's stupid decisions, Trump said. I don't want to discuss any further into decisions of Biden, Trump, Republicans, and Democrats regarding the war in Ukraine. Not all of these decisions were perfect, that's true, but there is also another truth, solid and concrete. Without the support of the United States of America and other partners of Ukraine, Ukraine would not have survived 2.5 years of this war, probably. And we're grateful for this support, and we hope that it will continue after the elections in November, and while we are standing, guarding the security of Europe, the eastern flank of NATO, and the world order, believe it or not. On June 28th, Ukraine marks the Constitution Day adopted in 1996. The history of the constitutional process in Ukraine goes back to Kievan Rus, the one which existence the Kremlin denies. Nevertheless, like many things, of course, it existed without the Kremlin's permission to do so. Initially, our constitution was partly based on the ancient Ukrainian law Ruska Pravda and later Lithuanian statute, the acts of the Bogdan Khmelnytsky Cossack state period, article of March of Articles of Zaporizhia Army. The first Ukrainian constitution is considered to be the Philip Orlik's constitution, which was adopted on April 5th, 1710. It was a contract between the Cossack commander Philip Orlik and the Cossacks themselves, who defined the rights of all members of the troops. According to historians, the constitution of Philip Orlik is one of the first European constitution in general. We in Ukraine never forget that, as per our constitution, the role of law, integrity, and inviolability of the country's territory, the European and Euro-Atlantic course of our state is clearly stated. Ukraine's fight in this war is a fight for the rule of law, freedom and democracy on its territory, which is encroached upon by the occupiers.
Our Constitution's first article begins with the word Ukraine, and from the first minutes of the war, millions of people proved that Ukraine really comes first for them. Everyone who thought first and foremost not of themselves, who understand that in times of war, a key duty comes to the fore. Article 17 of the Constitution, protecting Ukraine, is the most important function of the state and a matter of concern for the entire Ukrainian people.
Unlike many post-Soviet countries where Soviet doctrine has in fact won, the Ukraine has managed to preserve democracy, freedom, a strong plurally voiced civil society, even in the face of Russia's external military aggression. This is what we are fighting for, you see, freedom, and against Russia, terror. This is why we say Russia is a failed state, autocratic, totalitarian, and terrorist, where laws do not apply. and lies and disinformation production has been taken to an industrial scale. The terror and lawlessness inherent in it were brought by invaders to the temporarily occupied territories of Ukraine just as well. Ukraine's fight in this war is a fight for the rule of law, freedom and democracy on its territory, which is encroached upon by the occupiers, and which will not go unpunished. That was it for today, folks. For news and updates on Ukraine, please stay with Ukrainian media, us UATV English. We're going to break the hardest of truth in easiest of terms just for you, no matter what. Please like, comment and subscribe. Your voice matters a lot. It helps in turn our Ukrainian voice to be heard globally. Stay safe, tune for more and stand for Ukraine just as we stand for you. Believe it or not. Goodbye.